Welcome back. Well, as we speak, there's a bill being passed through Parliament to ban UK imports of trophy hunting kills, and MPs are required to vote by the 17th of March. Now, comes a very, very timely short film called Saving Sally, and it's about tiger cubs being bred for the bullet in South Africa, and how undercover investigators managed to save a beautiful cub called Sally. I can't. When you see those gorgeous pictures of little lions and and tiger cubs, and you think they're being bred purely so someone with loads and loads of money can come along and shoot them. Well, more than 100 big game trophy hunters will be named and shamed in a new book by an anti-hunting campaigner. It's a book by Eduardo Goncalves. It's going to name and shame dozens of British hunters. Just let me give you an idea of what we're talking about, because between them, the big game trophy hunters have killed over 2,000 animals. And hunters pay safari firms thousands to get the chance to bag endangered animals, and often they're bred purely to be shot at. It seems... So who are these people? And I didn't realise they could still import some of the trophies from this. Well, joining me now is Eduardo Goncalves, who's the founder of the campaign to ban trophy hunting and the producer of Saving Sally. Eduardo, thank you so much for joining me. We can't name these people because under the laws of media, unless we give them the right to reply, we can't do that. However, we can give people some of the examples of what is happening. I see here that one hunter took his 9-year-old to shoot and kill an animal. And it's like, yes, he's a man. I mean... And breeding little cubs, animals, tiger cubs, purely to be shot at, it seems unfathomable.
It's insanity, isn't it, Trisha? And yes, it is the truth. And there are lions, tigers, leopards, all sorts of cats that are being bred in captivity. So they're taken away from their mothers when they're just a few days or weeks old. And then they're hand-reared, they're bottle-fed until they're big enough for a trophy hunter to shoot. When we talk about trophy hunting, we often remember Walter Palmer, who was that dentist who shot Cecil the lion. Now, here's the thing. Cecil was a wild lion. He was in the wild, and that's where that Walter Palmer dentist shot him. Most of the lions that are being shot by British trophy hunters have been bred in captivity, and then they're shot in an enclosed area. That's why it's called canned hunting, because the outcome is in the can, in the bag, if you like. It's a guaranteed result because the animal can't escape. And so that's what British hunters are doing. They're shooting elephants, they're shooting rhinos, giraffes, zebras, monkeys, and absolutely extraordinary numbers. And here's the thing. Again, we tend to think of trophy hunting as just something that a handful of Americans do. Well, no. Some of Britain's trophy hunters are the world's top trophy hunters. So, for example, there's a property developer who is the #2 trophy hunter in the world. He has won prizes for killing literally hundreds of animals, including an award for killing 125 different species of animal. There's a London lawyer, a woman, who's won the award of being the world's top female trophy hunter, and she has shot some of the largest lions and elephants known to humanity. And there's another British hunter whose trophy room is so extraordinary, and he shot even a critically endangered black rhino, that he features in this special kind of coffee table book of the world's finest hunting trophy rooms. It's a world of madness out there, Trisha. And of course, it's bizarre, it's barbaric, it's very, very cruel, because many of the animals are seriously injured and then actually escape. That's what happened with Cecil, if you might remember. He was shot by the guy with the bow, and he didn't kill him outright, so he left him to die because he wanted to get this special prize that the industry give to people who shoot big game with just a bow and arrow. You can also shoot them with handguns and get a special prize for that.
Oh, God.
And so some of the British trophy hunters that I've spoken to, they seem to revel in the cruelty and the injuries that they inflict. And I've got quotes in this book that's coming out, and they talk about, for example, how they can see the lung blood oozing from the animal as it's They talk about how they shoot the animal and the bullet hits the animal with a satisfying thwack. The animal goes over, legs in the air. I was grinning. This isn't an actual quote, but they also talk about this as almost like an addiction. There's a trophy hunter who says, trophy hunting, it's like mainlining on heroin. Another one who says it's his drug. It's been his dream to kill elephants. Another one who says you get out there, you see all these animals, you get all adrenaline over in. Another one who just says it's like being in a sweetie shop. I mean,
oh my God! Because
really
Eduardo, I had my childhood in Central East Africa. And I grew up before the game reserves were really established. Those animals, from our house, we would see dik-dik, we call them, impala. We'd see apes. We'd see, and our holiday, we would go camping in those reserves and lions and all of those animals. And the Africans, if they killed them, it was trekking them for days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks with spears, with tire tread shoes and what have you. And it was for a reason. It was to survive. It was to live. But a lot of the argument I've heard in the past about this hunting is, it's for conservation. It helps keeps the numbers down. But that doesn't wash if you're specifically breeding animals, keeping them in an enclosed space and then killing them.
It's nuts. Look, I mean, you look at the animals that the Brits like to shoot most. Elephants are the most popular CITES-listed species. It's going to blow people's minds to know that actually it's perfectly legal to shoot an elephant for fun. And you can. If you say you're a trophy hunter, and actually that's the British hunter's favourite animal. And they've shot hundreds and hundreds of animals, of elephants and hippos and lions and so on. Their populations are all heading downwards. Their population of elephants has more than halved since the 80s. Now, you look at those countries like Kenya, which have banned trophy hunting. Elephant numbers have gone up over the same period. They've doubled in the same period. Lions around Africa, their populations have crashed from 200,000 in 1970 to less than 20,000 today. 50 years, it's a collapse of... Except in Kenya. The population of lions has gone up by 25% in the last decade. And the figures are the same for rhinos, etc., etc.
But Eduardo, I didn't realise that people could still bring those trophies back into Britain, so they can get the head of a lion or a tiger or an elephant and bring those into the country, bring those into Britain.
Absolutely. And there are specialist shipping companies that will help you bring them in through Heathrow Airport. You can also do it by boat if you prefer, because it's a little bit cheaper. But normally they come in through the airports. And indeed, there are specialist taxidermists in Britain, in Dorset, in Lancashire, in Buckinghamshire, all over the place, that are specialised in doing lions, in doing hippos, in doing baboons, in doing all sorts. I mean, bears as well. Bears, in fact, the black bear, which you find in North America, that's the second most popular animal shot by British hunters. And yes, absolutely, there is no prohibitions. You can even bring back polar bears and cheetahs. We know that polar bears are threatened with extinction because of climate change, but hey, you can still go and shoot one for fun. I mean,
I don't think most people realise that. I think because the story of Kenya, obviously, is the one that people point to. Oh, look at Kenya, it's not so bad. But things like animals like polar bears and what have you. Now, Saving Sally's about a little cub that was reared in captivity. Without giving too much away, I mean, is there any saving of these animals? I mean, and how do you change this? If people are listening and think this is outrageous, how do you actually change this? Because you're talking about a population, I'm guessing, with a hell of a lot of money. And big companies behind them making a hell of a lot of money, because that industry of setting up these tours where these hunters can go and kill these animals must charge a phenomenal amount. So how does the ordinary person even help slow down, let alone put the brakes on a multi-million-pound industry that you're talking about?
Well, I mean, it is. It's a huge. I mean, we're talking about the American gun lobby that we're taking on here, and they are doing everything to try to block this ban, which MPs are hopefully going to be debating in a couple of weeks' time. And yes, I mean, they get money from the oil industry, from the gun manufacturers, from ammunition manufacturers, and so on and so forth. They're putting a lot of money into it. And we did this investigation, the one that's told in the story of Saving Sally, really to try to understand fully what was going on, what was the scale of this. Yeah. We discovered that there are, at this moment, about 10,000 lions, leopards, tigers, and other cats in captivity, waiting for a trophy hunter to come and shoot. This is an industry on it. I mean, just to put this in proportion, that's many, many more times wild lions as exist in South Africa. That's, you know, there's probably about, 2,000, maybe 1,000 lions in South Africa in the wild, but there's about 10,000 of them in cages. And they have these, it's factory farming. And so they have these lions and tigers, which are turned into cub mills, and they impregnate them time and again, take away the cubs when they're just a few days old, and then hand rear them. So of course these animals are then tame. So for example, there's a gas engineer in Norfolk who has shot one of these lions recently, and he was boasting about how he managed to get as close as 8 yards and shot this animal, but basically point blank. Well, of course he did, because this animal was tame. He thought that he's probably coming to give it dinner. So look, it is an enormous industry. It's going to take quite a while to shut it down, but we can do something. And this is really important. So there's this bill that's coming to Parliament on the 17th of March, and it would ban British hunters from bringing home the heads and the skins and the bodies of lions and elephants and polar bears and cheetahs and monkeys and all the other animals that they like shooting, giraffes included, Right. They shoot lots of giraffes and zebras. It would stop them. It would prohibit them from doing it. And if they try, they could go to jail. So that would be a big start. That would mean that we're no longer involved in this sordid industry. And hopefully that also sends a big message to the outside world. But there's a problem. This bill, which is supported by 9 out of 10 voters, it was in the manifestos of both the Conservative and Labour parties at the last election. It's a government-drafted bill, but it could fail on a technicality. Why? Because not enough MPs might be in the chamber. So why is that? Because the debate is taking place on a Friday. Friday is when most MPs are back in their constituencies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for there to be a vote on this, you have to have a minimum of 42 MPs in the chamber. So when we had the second reading of this bill back in November the 25th, there were maybe half that number in the House. Now, fortunately, there wasn't a vote. It went through on the nod. But if there's a vote this time, which there probably will be, because there are pro-hunting MPs who are going to try and challenge it, there have to be a minimum of 42 MPs in the chamber. So we've got a battle to get MPs into the chamber.
I'd love to talk more. We've got to take a break, and we are actually going to be talking to Peter Egan, who's an actor and animal rights activist. But we're going to take a quick break just from you for a while, so we get him. I just want to read some of the messages that we've got. I don't know how you feel about that. Did you know that all these animals are tamed, hand-reared? So, of course, they're not going to run away from somebody who walks up to them and shoots them between the eyes. My God, I didn't know it was as bad as that. Maybe you did. Do get involved correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think it's wrong? Or do you think it's absolutely fine? Wow. 0344 499 1000, 0344 499 1000. You can text the word talk to 87222 or tweet at TalkTV. What are your feelings about what you just heard there? I didn't realise that they could still bring in animals and what have you. So we've got some messages here. Imagine if somebody this was about Roald Dahl. Imagine if someone drew a multicolour moustache on a portrait of you. Well, that is effectively what they have done to poor Roald Dahl's work. You can read both versions of the book. Do not worry, people. Do not worry. Let me talk to our next guest on this trophy hunting bill. Peter Egan is an actor and animal rights activist. Have we got him online? Let me just see. We have. Peter, I'm still in shock listening to Eduardo. I am still in shock. I didn't realise, and I suggest to you that most of the British public didn't realise, that animals are being hand-reared, 10,000 lions, as we just heard, purely to be shot. And this isn't out in the wild. This isn't a tribe, you know, hunting one lion and stalking it for days and weeks in order to survive. This is taking fish in a barrel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's horrible. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. I mean, it's not just lions, of course, it's all other wildlife as well. I mean, I've seen so much evidence online. One instance I'll give you was a couple of giraffe were in a sort of protected area, and they were just you know, idling away, and these hunters came towards them. One giraffe was so human-friendly, inquisitive, looked towards these so-called hunters, walked towards them, and the hunter shot this giraffe. And the giraffe collapsed. It's heartbreaking because, of course, giraffes are absolutely beautiful creatures. But I tell you, if I can show you just a story that really got me in the very beginning, which was Cecil the lion, which I'm sure you know about.
Yes, yes.
And this is in 2015, I think it was, which really opened up the door to all of this horror. And if one, learning about the details of how Cecil was so brutally murdered, Walter Palmer, the American dentist, wanted Cecil because he was a magnificent lion. And so the agent, the pimp, if you like, lured him from the safe area with some food. They were in a hide. And also Walter Palmer didn't just want to shoot at Cecil, he wanted to shoot him with a high-powered arrow. So while Cecil was eating, he took a shot, hit him almost fatally, but not completely. Cecil ran into the bush. The agent said, we must go and hunt him down now and finish him off. Walter Palmer said, no, I want to do the kill, and he couldn't do it late at night. So they waited 12 hours. And went out, and they followed the blood trail, and when they got close to Cecil, they could hear him drowning on his own blood.
Oh, God.
And there was this magnificent, now this is trophy hunting, and this disgusting human being wanted to make sure that he killed this animal himself so as he got the big badge from the Safari Club International. It is absolutely disgusting. I mean, how anyone can support this. It says to me that what they are doing is supporting serial killers, because serial killers do exactly what our trophy hunters do. They kill their prey, for want of a better image, and they take a memento, and they keep it hidden. The only difference is trophy hunters put it on the wall. It's absolutely devastating.
And if this bill goes through, they won't be able to bring those animal heads in and put them on walls. Do you think that will be enough of a deterrent for British trophy hunters, as we heard from Eduardo, as some of the most prolific trophy hunters in the world? Do you think that will be enough to put some of them off?
I think they will do everything they can to stop this bill going through, first of all. But no, I don't think it will put them off, because if you have a serial killer mentality, you're going to find a way of satisfying that appetite. But it's going to make it much more difficult, and it's going to send a huge message. And it's also going to sort of the message that comes from the British public that 80% of us don't want any part of this. It is disgusting. And hopefully it will send a message to the trophy hunters' families, who will then be embarrassed by the fact that their dad's fun game is they can't bring the body parts in. But if it I don't know if it's going to end it. I hope it will go a long way towards it, and I hope it will make it so difficult for all of those maniacs.
And as I said before, they have to vote on this by the 14th, and we just hope. I mean, if people are listening,
I think it's the 17th.
17th, I beg your pardon. So
no
if
problem.
If people are listening and they want to do something about it, yes, 17th of March, they have to vote on this. If people are listening and they feel as disgusted as I do and they want to do something, is there some number? Is there some contact? Is there something we can do?
What they have to do is they have to get in touch with their MP and say to their MP, I want you as my member of parliament to represent me and the 80% of your constituents. Be in the House of Commons on the 17th of March and vote for Henry Smith's bill, the private member's bill.
Yeah, and that's let's hope that's a first step in stopping this. It's eye-opening. It's eye-opening. I really thank you for talking to us today. Peter Egan there, actor and animal activist. Wow. It is absolutely shocking. If you want to do something, as Peter Egan said, get hold of your local MP. You'll find him on the web, him or her on the website. Send them an email, send them a text, do something. It is absolutely shocking.